All right, so the last section that we got to take a look at, we've got to enter in a sales receipt, and then now we actually got to take a look at how we can create an invoice. So again, entering a sales receipt and an invoice is pretty much identical, okay? It's pretty much similar, familiar, and it's just like filling out a form. Pretty straightforward. We also got to take a look at what happens when we enter in line items such as discount items. And of course, we got to take a look at that. Now, of course, let's look at our home page and look at that graphic depiction. Okay, so again, if we've already created our invoice and we follow the line after that, the next obviously thing that we're going to have to do is, of course, if we invoice our customers, we need to collect money from them. So that's the next section here, is actually recording and receiving our payments. So just like every single way that we entered in every single of our transactions, whether it's through the home page, okay, you can only imagine it's the same way as it's the same way as entering every other transaction. So there are a total of 7 ways you can enter in receiving a payment. Okay? And we're going to go ahead and take a look at what happens when we actually receive our payments and what it does when it comes to receiving payments either by check or by credit card as well. So the first example we're going to be looking at is Mr. Bob Mason is going to pay for his items, okay? So he has quite a few invoices involved with us. So the one invoice that we're going to be actually for surely looking at is the one that is amount for 401. So let's go ahead and look at all the ways that you can enter in receiving a payment. So again, there is number 1 is on the home page. Okay, you can also go up to the menu bar under customers and you'd be able to receive payments this way. Where it says receive payments. Come on, receive payments right here. Receive payments. Okay, you can also receive payments by going to the customer center itself. Whether you do a new transaction, receive payments. Okay, you can also click on a particular person so that has an account balance, right click them, and you can also receive payments this way as well. Okay, you can also do that as well by selecting the particular person, going down to manage transactions, and receiving a payment this way. Okay. And then, of course, we also have it on the income tracker itself. You should be able to go down to the bottom and receive a payment as well. Okay. And then last but not least, the most hidden one is, of course, if we go to, I'm going to go to my customer center and I'm going to actually open an invoice. So let's go ahead and look at Bob Mason, since he's the one that we're going to be looking at invoice for. He has a total of 3 invoices that are outstanding. So I can go ahead and click a particular one. So the one that we're actually receiving a payment is going to be for the 3947. If I double click that, here's his invoice that pops up. And at the very top of the window, you have the receive payment icon at the top of the window. So that is 7 ways you can enter in receiving a payment from a customer. So since I'm already on the invoice for Mr. Bob Mason for that $401, I'm going to go ahead and click that receive payment icon. And then here you go, I get a customer payment window. Now this is going to pull up every single detail in regards to Bob Mason. So as you can see, it pulls up not only invoice number 3947, it also pulls up the invoice for 401 as well as 106. And we'll talk about these ones later on, but right now we just want to make sure that we have this one in particular for the 401 total. Now, again, we want to also verify that because he is going to be paying by check. Okay, the date that we received the payment is going to be the 28th, so the same day. Okay, so good, 28th. Okay, and did we give him a discount? In this case, it doesn't look like he made it. So, or I don't think we have one for him, but you can always look at the invoice, right? Because that will also tell you. So if I were to minimize this little window here, right, I'd be able to pull up his invoice right behind, and let's look at it. Did we give him terms? And in this case, for this particular, no, it's just net 30. So therefore, he has no he gets no discount regardless of when he pays. But let's go ahead and look at that transaction one more time. Since so he actually, this invoice is way overdue. Okay, this one was billed out since December of 18. Yeah, and he's way over. So we'll talk about what you can do when you can charge customers in, I believe, the next chapter, what you can do for this one. But in this particular one, we're just going to ignore the fact that this one is a past due check. But I'm going to go ahead and indicate that he did write a check, and the check number is going to be 5256, and it's going to be indeed for the amount of 401.39. Okay, and that's exactly what this invoice is for that particular one. Okay, so now when we validate that this transaction has occurred, it's going to link the payment to this particular paycheck, and it's going to link it to this invoice itself. Now, yes, you can also receive partial payments, so that is also a factor there too. And if you do receive partial payments, your only duty is to pretty much ask the customer, why am I receiving a partial payment? And if the customer gives you an excuse and says, I'll give you the second half of the check, XYZ on this date, XYZ, I have rent, things like that happen all the time. So for this particular one, we're not receiving a partial payment, but usually if you do, you associate it to whatever invoice that can apply to. So if this person is trying to just pay the latest one, then you can go ahead and apply it to that one. But most cases, if you do receive a partial payment and it's not specified on which invoice, your automatic assumption is going to be the one that's either close to the due date or the one that's overdue or past due. Never for the most recent one. Because again, if you pay it for the most recent one, if you do give terms, you're kind of giving them the discount when you shouldn't. Okay, so rule of thumb is if you receive a partial payment, usually it's going to be the one that's going to be most close to the due date or on a past due invoice. Okay, and in this case, he's paying us in full for invoice number 3947. Okay. And once we look at this and we validate that this is correct, the paycheck is for the full amount, we can go ahead and click Save and Close, and it gives us the proof of approval. And then this little invoice is going to change from past due to now paid in full. Okay, so that's what's really cool about QuickBooks, and it keeps track of your little thing here. Okay, it keeps track of your payments and so on and so forth. Now, of course, if you want to take a look at your overall invoices that are open or that are currently due, again, you have the income tracker, but that allows you to receive your payments and do other transactions. But if you just want to do a quick report or a quick overview of it, you can go to your reports and go to your sales and be able to pull that information by looking at open or unpaid invoices. So I believe it is sales by, maybe it's customers and receivables. Yeah, customers and receivables. and it's going to be your AR open invoices. So you click that, and it should pull out all the invoices that are outstanding today that currently need to be paid. All right, it gives you a quick overview, quick report, and you can actually click on the actual invoice itself as well. But it does give you just a quick overview of what outstanding or which invoices are currently due. Okay, pretty cool, pretty straightforward type of invoice that way. So you can actually see who owes you, blah, 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 how much they owe you, and et cetera, due dates and all. Okay, and you can also do, again, another quick overview through the income tracker itself. Right? So that's how you receive a payment by a check. You can also receive payments if in case that person decides to show up and say, hey, I'm just going to pay for my invoice now and be like, give you cash. Yes, you can do that as well. You can also do transactions that are involving a credit card. So that's the next transaction here that we're going to be looking at is we're going to receive a payment from Miss Maria Cruz. And we're going to use a credit card to actually receive the payment from this person. So again, I'm going to go up to this up transaction right here, and I'm going to go ahead and receive a payment. And this time it is going to be from Maria Cruz, and it's going to be particularly for the branch opening. Okay, once I do that, what's going to notice is that there are 3 total invoices in regards to the Maria Cruz branch opening. And what Maria Cruz is actually going to do is she's going to pay for the full amount. So as you can see, I have nothing checked marked. But if I look here, right, I can enter in an amount, or I can just select the invoices, okay? Okay, I'm going to click, don't show that next, okay? And then I can actually select them, and it's just going to keep tallying up our total automatically. So again, this is a thing that you can override, or it can fill in automatically by you selecting the invoice itself. So I believe she's going to pay this whole entire amount in one shot using a credit card. So if you go ahead and select credit card, if you notice, this little window is going to pop up and it's going to ask you pretty much the credit card information. This is because I haven't updated Maria Cruz's profile with an existing credit card. So in this case, this is where you're actually going to type it in. Okay, it's going to ask you, verify this is the credit card information. Now again, I believe they use the same exact credit card number as Mr. Tim Fang, but I'll go ahead and make a slight difference. I'll go ahead and make the last 4 1111s, okay? Because I don't know if the publisher knew that they pretty much have 2 people with the same exact credit card number. Yeah, it doesn't work that way. Okay, and I believe the expiration date is
10 of 2020.
10 of 2020 because this transaction is in 2019. That is fine. So 10/20/20, and then I go ahead and press done. Now, sometimes it may ask for that security question, that the three number security question. Again, that's only if it's the person that's paying online. Usually they have that as a proof of purchase. But if they're calling in and they're giving your credit card number, you don't need it. Or if you're just entering in for them, you don't need it. Okay? So there you go. We have the credit card information already locked and secure. It's a Visa credit card. So therefore, this little, the check number doesn't appear. But there is a reference number. Now, the reference number could be in terms of your purchase order or whatever it is. Maybe there's something linked to it. But because we have the invoices already here, you don't need a reference number. It's just to validate that this transaction has been paid for these particular items. In this case, she's just doing a one-shot, pay all the debt I owe with a credit card, and boom. It is just as easy as that. You just enter in, select the invoices that she's paying for. In this case, we are paying for all three, and enter in the credit card number. And then we can go ahead and save and close. Okay, once we get that beep of approval, if we go ahead and check out our Maria Cruz information here under, oh, that's the branch, Maria Cruz branch opening. As we can see, we could see the invoices and the payment is there. If we go ahead and actually open an invoice, it should acknowledge that this invoice has been paid. Okay, so pretty cool. And then this little window here on the right side pretty much gives you an account balance, an invoice total, but it also gives you an indicator, well, did this person go over their credit limit, if they did or not. So that's what's cool here. Every time you create an invoice or every time you pay an invoice, it will give you this little quick overview of their transactions. Okay, so any questions in regards to receiving a payment?
Nope.
Pretty straightforward, pretty easy. Yes. Okay. And I think that's it for that one. Let me see. Do we also let me see. We received the payment from Bob Mason, and we just received the payment from Maria Cruz. So next thing and the last thing that we have left is actually looking at recording the deposits. So again, we just received we received a couple checks. Okay, so let's go ahead and follow this line of flow of transaction and actually press this receive or record payments. So what's going to happen is that you see this little window here. This little window pretty much says, hey, you have a sales receipt, you have a payment from Mr. Bob Mason, and I think we're supposed to receive two. No. Okay, I guess we only have three payments in total. We have two checks and then one actual credit card. Correct. Okay, so that is there. Now, here's a rule of thumb that a lot of people sometimes know, some people actually don't know. Best rule of thumb is you definitely want to make sure that you separate your cash deposits versus your credit card deposits. And each credit card that you own or each credit card service that you actually have to pay dues to, right? Because they are considered a debt collector. So there's agreements to credit cards, and we'll talk about that in a second. But first things first is you want to make sure that you separate all your checks and all your cash deposits. And you can do that by filtering out through here. You could do payment methods. So again, if you click this, you can separate your cash with your checks. You can separate it by each credit card company. So American Express, Visa, or any debit cards or credit cards, anything like that, MasterCard, Visa, etc., etc. Okay, but in this case, if I want to do just cash and check only, as you can see, you have Mr. Bob Mason and you also have Mr. Jerry Perez right here. So I'm going to go ahead and select that, and I'm going to go ahead and click OK. All right, so there you are. We're going to deposit these two things here. Now, what you can also do too is you can also enter in any extra cash that you have laying around. So for example, if you want to reinvest some extra money into your company, you can also do that as well. So I believe in this example, we actually do enter in another check that we entered in for ourselves. And I believe it's for reinvesting into our company. So can you go ahead and tell me what I have there? So I believe, let me see, receive from, obviously for myself, I'm not going to enter who. And then what account is it going to be associated with? It's going to be associated with an investment, I think.
3,500.
Okay, 3,500. 500. So, oh, is it 30 then 500? There you go, investments. Okay, and of course, what check number did I write this out to this particular company? 13451. Okay, and of course, it because I wrote a check and I placed it in check number, it's going to be a check. Okay, I could put cash in there if I'd like, but in this case, I'm depositing a check. And again, is it for a particular class? No, not really. Okay, and for what amount did I write this check out for?
151 and 45 cents.
151 and 45 cents?
No, it's 15,000.
Okay, that's what I figured.
Sorry, wrong check. This book has the undeposited funds on top of that.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so again,
Sorry.
no worries. 15,000. I was like, that's a really odd amount to reinvest into your company. But yes, it should be $15,000. So by me entering in this is way that I can deposit money. And then at the very bottom here allows you to also take out money as well. So here's cash back options. So again, this is very important, especially if you have a petty cash fund. So again, remember the rules about petty cash is that if you do, you're going to have to actually go write yourself a check and then be able to get money out of it. Now, this is just in case, again, you can pull out money for any other reason if you are the owner of the company. Just know that because you're doing it through QuickBooks, QuickBooks needs to know what you're doing with that money. What's the reason you're pulling out this money? And that's where it's going to record the transaction. Now, of course, if you're just pulling out money for the sake of spending it for yourself, that's illegal. Remember, we always have to write a check to yourself. You go deposit in your own bank, and then you can go ahead and do whatever you want with that money. But in this case, this is particular, especially if you are designating a specific reason why you're pulling out the money. Now, oftentimes, if you are an in-store cash, if you are an in-store location, you need cash in the cash register. So then you're going to have to create an account of where this money is actually going to be heading to. So if you do have a cash register ready, go ahead and place it there. Other than that, that's usually, or a petty cash, and usually that's what it's going to be for that reason. Okay, and that's where you put the memo here, and of course, you're going to have the amount listed here. But in this case, I'm not going to pull out any money because I'm already reinvesting money into the company. So here I have a whole grand total of my $15,870.42 that I am depositing into my bank.
I have a
And
question.
yes, go for it.
Well, because in the book says 16,021.87, so that's where I was getting the 151.45. So we didn't do a transaction. There's two for Bob Mason.
Yes. I was supposed to do the one that he's supposed to receive a discount for.
Oh, gotcha.
But I mean,
I didn't miss something specific. Okay.
we could technically do that one. I'm gonna do it
Oh, you're good,
afterwards.
I get it. It's only for us watching and learning anyway. No worries. It's not real. When we get to the bank, you're gonna be like, "What are you doing?" No.
Okay, no worries. No, so this is, so for this example here, we are looking at receiving the amount, the check, okay, for these are particular amounts, okay, and we also are able to reinvest in our own company as well. So that is this, and once I validate that all this looks good, I have all these transactions done, I know that these are all checks and cash that I'm depositing, I can go ahead and verify and confirm and go ahead and save and close. Okay, so boom, it's done, it's cleared out, awesome. Now, and if you look here, now I have a little notification here that says I still got one more deposit left. And that's my Maria Cruz that actually did a credit card transaction, okay? Now, how do I know that the money actually went to my bank? you're going to actually be able to do that by looking at your checking account per se. So go ahead and open up your checking register by clicking that check register option. And if you look carefully, you have, let me see, the deposit right here, DEP for deposit, and it's for this date for the grand total of the $15,000 and whatever amount, okay? So that's where it actually shows you. But of course, if you're going to tell QuickBooks to do it, you also need to physically go to the bank and do it. Now, best rule of thumb is you should always go to the bank first, deposit all your checks, and then come back and record it, just in case, because you never want to record it in QuickBooks and completely forget that you go to the bank and do it, because then your whole account balance would be off. So general rule of thumb is you should definitely do the transaction, go to the bank, deposit it, and then you're going to get a deposit slip with the deposit slip number. So that's where you can actually enter that in here if you were to correct it for any reason. So here you go. You can associate an account, a number to it, and also you can also attach the file in your checking account as well. So that's what you can do here, and just to make sure that your deposit slips match the exact date and the amount that you are actually depositing into your bank account matches, okay? So that's that there for this instance. Now, I actually am going to go back and go ahead and do that transaction just because it is in particular what happens if you if that person does pay and they meet the discount period. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I'm going to redo again how to show you how to do again how to record the deposit. So I'm going to go ahead and go to receive payments again, and this time I'm going to go ahead and it's Mr. Bob Mason. So again, Mr. Bob Mason's really popular amongst us. So here you go, Bob Mason. Okay, so then here we go. We have a couple invoices here that are here. So again, the 151 is going to be the last one that we just, or not the last one, yeah. The most recent one that we just entered in. And if we go ahead and take a look at this particular invoice itself, you can see that we actually put terms. Okay, so he can receive a 2% discount on this item if he pays within 10 days. So I believe he makes the payment. Let me see when he made the. I believe he paid it on like March 8th or something. Can you tell me in your book what day did he actually pay for this one?
131.19.
131.19. Say it again.
Yeah. January 31st, 2019.
Yeah,
For
there
the
it
amount
is.
of 151.45.
Oh, he paid on the 31st.
Yeah.
Okay, so once we do this, so this is what you have to do actually. So in order to actually record the discount, you're actually going to be looking at it, and at the very top of the window, you have discounts and credits. So by selecting this invoice right here, right, we're going to go ahead and click that apply any discounts or any credits. So here, by clicking that, it's going to automatically associate that. Boom, you do have one. You have it for the $154, right? And he's going to receive a 2% discount on it. And that 2% discount is going to be for the $3.09. So by verifying that he does receive this discount, I'm going to go ahead and click OK. Well, first, I need to have the discount, discount account, which is going to be sales discount. Okay, and then discount class. Well, what class does he belong to? I believe he belongs to San Jose. So we're going to go ahead and click done. And what's going to happen is now this invoice is actually going to be applied. And what happens is it's over here, it's going to say apply discount for 309, making the total amount for 151 and 45 cents, which automatically changes it up here. But we didn't even associate how he paid. He paid with a check. And check number
5912.
5912. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and now that I have the discount paid, I have all this. The date is indeed going to be the 31st. I forgot to change that. So the 31st of January. And I'm going to go ahead, click save and close. Now notice this. Now that I made that second receive payment, now my notification says I have 2 pending deposits I need to actually look at. So this number, it kind of gives you like a little notification update on how much money you need to deposit into your bank. And it's good because, again, often a lot of people do is they assume that this is connected to the bank. It's not. You physically need to go to the bank and deposit everything in there. So again, I do have, now once I pull this window up, it's going to say, well, you have 2 things available. You have your check and you have your credit card available. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do the credit card one, and then we'll just do this one last minute afterwards. Okay, so now I'm going to looking at how I'm going to determine how to do the Visa payment. Now I'm going to go ahead and select it. So I'm going to go ahead and click, let me pull my window up again. So I'm going to click OK. Now here you go. I have a Visa payment credit card for the amount of $1,950. Okay. Now, if you guys actually know this, some people don't actually know this, but if you do have a credit card payment system, you actually are agreeing to a percentage that you are actually giving to this person or to this particular credit card company. So any credit card transactions that you do, the owner of the company is subject to pay a certain portion or a certain fee that's in regards to the sales. So most cases, because what they're doing is they're collecting the debt for you and paying it in advance. So by them paying paying you as soon as the transaction goes through, right? You kind of owe them some money or a percentage of your sales. And oftentimes it's usually a percentage of your total sales. Other ways that you can work around it, depending on what your agreement is, could be, you pay them a monthly fee, or you pay them an annual fee. Like maybe you pay them an interest rate. Okay, it just depends on how you work with this company. Now, especially, again, most oftentimes what they do is they take a percentage of your total sales. So in this case, because I use this credit card, I have Visa as a person to collect the debt for me, I'm subject to 2% of my entire sales. Okay, so what you can do here is instead of actually creating, you're actually going to create another account, which is going to be your bank card fees, right? Because the bank is also going to be linked to this agreement. So what they're going to do is, because oftentimes when you do actually go ahead and charge on a credit card, automatically it goes straight to your bank account. Okay? You don't need to actually physically do this. You don't actually have to physically take your credit card and go to the bank and say, hey, this person charged me for it. It should go automatically to your bank. But what you don't know is, or what oftentimes you have to do is you have to make an adjustment, because you're not actually receiving the entire amount. You're only receiving, a portion, whatever agreement that you signed up with by using this credit card company. You're agreeing that a portion of the sales is actually going to go directly to that credit card company. So in this case, you are going to be charged the account for the bank, I believe it's bank card or bank services charges. Or is it bank? Oh yeah, bank card fees. Yeah, that's I was right. So bank card fees, and this is where you're going to go ahead and actually do your quick math, or yes, your quick math. So by looking at this, right, you're gonna automatically start off with your first thing is going to be the amount that you're actually going to make. You're going to calculate. So in this case, it's going to be the 19,550, right? And then once you enter in either a plus sign, minus, division, or subtraction, right, it's going to automatically create this little receipt window. So you can go ahead and do your calculations. Now I'm going to go ahead and type in 0.02 since that's the percentage that you are being charged for. Now this is where you can go ahead and press enter, and it's going to automatically populate that. 2% of this total $19.50 is going to be for $39 even. Now, here's one thing that you need to know as well. Because you didn't place a negative number in here, it's saying, oh, you're also adding additional $39, making your grand total to be $19.50 plus that $39. No. You're trying to subtract this amount. So we're going to redo this again. We're going to do 1950 times, and you're going to place a negative number in front of that, making it negative 2%. All right. And then if you go ahead and press enter, now it shows as a negative $39. And now this is the exact amount that you're supposed to be recording. This is the actual amount that's actually going into your bank is the 1911 instead of the 1950, because you need to pay your dues to the credit card debt collector who collected this money for you or paid in advance for the customer. And because of that inconvenience, they charged you 2% of your total sales. So if you are planning to open up a company, you want to think twice about making yourself available to credit cards, because they will take a percentage of your profits, whether you like it or not. Okay. And again, most common ones are Visa, MasterCard, yes, American Express, right? Those ones, they're out to get your money, but they're also the ones that's going to make sure that you guarantee the money is there. Okay. So again, we recognize that this statement is true, that it should be from the 1911, and this does match your book. So then we can go ahead and press save and close. All right. And again, we still have one more pending one, which is that last check that we received from Bob Mason. But let's go ahead and verify that my 1911 actually went through. Here you go. Deposit right here for the 1911 is there. Okay. And then, yes.
In the real office world, would you wait until you get the credit card statement from that company that, processes your cards via those little machines to find out what the whole month's tally is? Or would you really do it individually each transaction?
That is a good question, and that's on your it's going to be based on your agreement that you have with your credit card company. Can you calculate it all at once at the end of the month? I mean, your checking account would look very funky if you do that every month, because if you agreed that every sales that they pay with the Visa credit card is going to be for every purchase or sale that you've created, then your checking account is going to be off. Okay,
Yeah,
so
I didn't know if it waited like do they do an ACH at the end of the month and bill you for the total that you owe them, or do they do it per transaction? That's what I didn't.
Typically, it's per transaction, yes. And I mean, this is a rough estimate of your checking account. It's not really reflective of your checking account, because, of course, checks, they take 3 days to clear. Or if you did write a check, oftentimes the other company who's receiving the check, if they don't deposit it, they have 6 months to deposit that check. And if they wait till the end of 6 months, then your checking account will never reflect their actual true amount. The only real reflection is going to be your bank statement. And yes, on your bank statement, it will actually tell you ACH, right? Or it will actually tell you your bank card fees or collected amount of interest that you're supposed to pay. So your bank statement would reflect that information, yes. But it is going to be based on every single transaction that occurs. So again, if you are depositing every single day and you have that credit card transaction and you know they're taking a specific percentage, then yes. That's what you agreed to, then yes. There is an option too where you have you can agree to them if they want to a monthly fee. That you can, if that's easier for your kind of business, to say, hey, I'll just pay you a monthly fee even if I make the sale or not. Then that's the agreement that you have with this credit card company. But most oftentimes that you will see is going to be a percentage of your total sales, because that's actually more accurate and more reflecting. Because what if you didn't have sales? Why are you paying a monthly fee if you didn't meet that sale criteria? So oftentimes that's more likely it's going to be a percentage of your profits. Okay. And again, one way to find out how much an accurate exact amount is going to be is, again, through your bank statement. It will show up on your bank statement.
I
Okay.
have one more question. It should be fast. If, let's say, in a day you do 35 credit card transactions, do you do each individually or take the whole total, as long as they're all Visa?
Yes. So if
Something like that.
yes,
Break them
so
down per card and add them and tally them and take off the disc or the 2% or whatever it is.
Okay.
So it doesn't have
Yes.
to be individual, but it does have to be per card.
Correct.
Right.
So yeah, whatever agreement you have with a particular credit card company itself. So so then, for example, I'm back here, right? When we actually did that credit card transaction. So I'm gonna pretend this is one. Okay, let's just pretend. Okay, so you can have this whole list of all Visa credit card transactions. And what you're going to do is, if you have the grand total right here, right? Let's say you're processing 35 Visa credit card transactions. You're going to get this grand total at the bottom right here. Okay? And that's where you're going to calculate the total amount of bank fees charges. You don't actually have to go in each one line item and throw it in there.
I've worked at very heavy credit card places, and it's like, whew, I can be there all day.
Exactly. So so this way, yes, you can do it as easy as record all the Visa transactions, get your grand total, process that extra 2%, whatever agreement that you have, and calculate it that way. So in this case, you'll have the total at the bottom, and you'd be able to do that as well. So again, yes. So that's a good question, and that would typically happen. Yes, you can. I believe you can have as many credit card transactions in a day. You can do it as you go, whatever makes it easier for you to record your deposits. Okay, and again, QuickBooks is going to notify you how many deposits you still have left to do. So I'm going to go ahead and click this and click no. So then here it tells me I still have one outstanding deposit I still have to record. So it will notify you at any given time. Okay. All right. Any questions? And that's actually it for the entire chapter. That's how you do it. We looked at receiving payments, how to deposit credit cards versus cash, and how to look at quick math. So there you go. Any questions in regards to chapter 2?
Nope.
No, I'm good. I'm going to do my exercises, but other than that.
Okay. So we actually, we're kind of short on time too. So we're just going to go over the review questions because it does take about roughly give or take 45 minutes to complete the transaction below. So, the exercises, the problems. So I'm going to go ahead and just leave it to you guys. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and just message me. And I can help you assist that on an off day, or maybe one of those days where we end at like 3:30 or something, which,
Right.
but for today, yes, I'm going to have to only go through the review questions and call it a day. So let me go ahead and find my review questions. So it's going to be at the very end.
Page 70.
Oh, okay. So go back, go back, go back. All right. So let's go ahead and look at our review questions. So number 1, okay. In the new customer window, you find everything except what? D, right? You're not going to find the year-to-date sales information. That's only after you filled out the new the new customer, and you enter in all those transactions that you'll see it at the bottom in the customer center. Okay, but not when you enter in a new customer. No, never. Number 2, okay, you should record a sales receipt when?
A.
Yes, A. By cash, check, or credit card at time of purchase. Okay, or at time of sale, sorry. At time of sale. Number 3, okay, which statement is false?
B, yeah.
B, okay, so let's go through all of them. A says invoices are very similar to sales receipts forms. Yes, we have established that. We looked at them. We know it's the same, right? You're entering in the information. You're entering the customer's information, tax, blah, blah, blah. It's the same. Okay, so A is true. B, invoices decrease accounts receivable. No, it increases them. So that's definitely false. Okay. C says sales receipts have no effect on accounts receivable.
Correct.
That is true because sales receipts are dealing with cash. Cash has nothing to do with accounts receivable. Okay. And then lastly, invoices should be created when customers are going to pay after. Yes, after the sale. Good. That is actually true. We talked about the definition between a sales receipt and an invoice, and that is the definition of an invoice. Okay? Okay, number 4. You may specify payment terms on the new customer window. However, D, you are also permitted to override the terms on the each sale. Yes. So again, I don't remember if we did an example of this, but yes, when you actually are currently working
Somebody
on,
went over their account limit, so you had, yeah.
yes. So yes, when we do that, yes, you can override whatever that you set in your previous thing. You can make changes. Yes, you can. So D is the correct answer. Okay. Lastly, number 5, your company has just accepted a payment for an invoice. Okay. What should you do in QuickBooks to record this payment?
D.
D. Receive the payment by clicking the receive payment. Yes, pretty straightforward, right? You wouldn't open the invoice, okay, because that's not receiving a payment. You wouldn't create a sales receipt, especially if you already have an open invoice. That's doubling up. Exactly. And then lastly, make a deposit by clicking the record deposits. You didn't even receive the payment first. How are you going to record a deposit if you didn't even receive the payment first place? So yes, D is correct. So again, enjoy, and hopefully you guys can figure these questions again. If only we had a little more time, because last class we actually had enough time to go over this, because I think chapter 4 and chapter 2 are primarily the most important sections in QuickBooks, it's all about entering in bills and also entering in sales and stuff like that. So I would wish that we had enough time. Now, let me go ahead and pause the recording.